It's me, Ari Dossett, or for those who follow this channel, Rashid. What I'm about to say now may shock you. What I'm about to say now may anger you, may cause you to unsubscribe even. But I need to say it. There are times you need to put common sense aside. There are times you need to put logic aside. There are times you need to stop being rational. Now, let me explain why I'm saying this to you. There are times when using common sense will get you in bigger and bigger trouble. Okay, if you're driving your car on the road, use common sense. When you drive your car and you see that someone is trying to cut you off on the road and they're not willing to stop, even though they're wrong, now you being right doesn't cancel out if they cut you off in a dangerous way, there will be an accident. So slow down, let them cut you off on the road. Because if you think, hey, I'm right here, I'm following the traffic rules, and you keep on speeding forward, there'll be a crash. So when you are on the road or when you're in traffic, please use common sense, okay? If you are in the medical field, use common sense. Because you're dealing with people's health. If you are in a logistical field operating, use common sense. If you see that a load is too heavy for your back, don't try to carry it by your own. Use a machine. So using common sense is a natural and practical thing to do. It's a safe thing to do also. Except when you're dealing with people who don't want solutions. And that is where it goes wrong. Too many of us have the assumption that everyone wants solutions and everyone wants to be better off. And both are wrong. Not everyone wants solutions and not everyone wants to be better off. Some people, actually quite a lot of people, I'm going to say some for now, some people just want to escape. That's the only thing on their mind. I've uploaded a video called, what's the video called again? Oh, the video is called Why Logic Won't Get You Far in Society. I've just uploaded it. Please listen to that video also. It's a dark video, it's just an audio clip, but please listen to it. Because I explained in that video that the number one thing on most people's mind is that they want an emotional payoff from a situation. The main thing on people's mind is they want emotional payoff. Now, there are exceptions, but in life, you seldom deal with exceptions all of the time. Most of the time, you're dealing with the general. You're dealing with what's common. And what's common in daily life is that you're dealing with people whose main focus is the emotional payoff. So, people will put up with anything and anyone that will enable them to get an emotional payoff. So facts, reality, proof, evidence, none of that will matter. You can come with as many scientific research if you want. You can come with historical proof. It will not change their mind because their mind is set to escape. When they've set their own mind to escape, nothing else matters. The only thing that will come into them is data that will enable them to escape. Everything that doesn't relate to them escaping, it will be discarded and considered bullshit by them. You cannot use common sense, nor logic with such people. Okay, let's say, for example, you have an argument with your spouse. Your spouse is claiming that you don't love him or that you don't care about him. And you think, what? What's going on here? So you keep asking what's going on. And then your husband mentions an incident that happened 5 years ago in which he asked you to make a sandwich for him and you told him to do it himself because you were tired. It's something that happened 5 years ago. And suddenly, your husband only escalates about that one incident that happened 5 years ago. Now, back then, you came from work and you were genuinely tired. It wasn't that you didn't care about your husband, it's just that you were tired and you were thinking, you've been at home all day, why don't you make a sandwich yourself? But your husband now, who lacks self-worth, was triggered by that circumstance, and he felt unappreciated. Now, was he unappreciated? No, but he felt that way. Instead of him facing himself, he realized, hold on a minute, why do I rely so much on people validate my existence? He now buried this grudge inside of him, and this grudge grew, and one day, 5 years later, just escalated. Do you think it's wise to use logic and reason with your husband now? No, it will not work, because he is set on escape. And something happened that forced him to look in the mirror. He can't handle that. So that resentment, that grudge has been building up inside of him, and it now came out. And now you'll notice, after he's done screaming and shouting at you or throwing objects in the house, he's suddenly calm. And he doesn't even remember that incident anymore, because now he escaped from the hurt he felt in that situation. So is there logic, is there common sense in this? No. The only common sense that will be at play here is that he will not escalate against a police officer or against his employer or anyone that may harm him in the long run. So that's the survival mechanism in him that will keep him in check. But this survival mechanism is also of an emotional origin. So there is no actual logic, common sense operating in him. The same it is if you have a wife who is going off at you, and you just can't figure out why she's going off at you, and then you figure out through a psychologist that, well, her dad used to be absent emotionally, and now she's taking it out on you. Can you use logic and common sense here to rectify the situation? No, you can't. Because you're dealing with someone whose mindset is set on escape. They have an escape mindset. As long as they have an escape mindset, no logic and no common sense will be sufficient to change their behavior, let alone change them. You can't change them. They have to face themselves and go through the painful process of self-reflecting. If they're not willing to do that, they will only get worse. Now, this also counts for groups of people, especially dealing with groups of people. It's not the facts, nor the proof, nor evidence, nor scientific research or historical knowledge that matters to them. It matters to them how will the facts, evidence, proof, scientific research, and historical knowledge relate to how I feel and relate to my emotional revenue in life. That's how most people operate. They don't operate based on what's true and what's best for us in the long run. You need to understand this. So there are times you need to put logic aside. Does that mean you begin to act irrational? No. That simply means that you realize, hold on a minute, in this situation, logic and common sense are not handy tools. I need to deal with the situation differently. If someone is complaining to you, but there's no logical reason for them to complain, it is because they want attention or they want a distraction. So offer them attention, offer them distraction, and let them feel like they're hurt. Then they will calm down. And once you calm down, you de-escalate the situation. You have to use a different tool here, namely emotional intelligence. So many people are obsessed with common sense and logic, but emotional intelligence is also important, and a lot of folks lack emotional intelligence. They just don't want to admit this. Some people have zero emotional intelligence. They're just all about logic, common sense, and don't want to hear anything else. That's a very dangerous attitude to have. Because without emotional intelligence, you will end up in situations you can better avoid. So, when you are dealing with people who don't want solutions, or when you're dealing with people who just want to flee, stop using common sense and logic when you're dealing with them. Because they're not into those things. They're into escaping. Not everything in life can be solved nor accomplished by using common sense and logic. If you think that everything in life can be resolved and accomplished through common sense and logic, you are in idolatry. There is nowhere in Scripture, neither Old nor New Testament, where this is stated. And there are even worldly philosophers who admit this. So neither in biblical nor extra-biblical sources can you find any justification for the idea that you can achieve and solve anything with logic and common sense. It does not work like that in reality. It doesn't work at all. It does even work in fairy tales. So, learn to put logic and common sense aside when you're dealing with a situation or a circumstance where logic and common sense are not handy tools. Again, putting logic and common sense aside doesn't mean you become illogical and irrational and out of control. It simply means you relate differently to the situation. Just you can de-escalate and deal with it in a proper way. That's it for now. Keep on agreeing with Christ and be at peace.